Baada ya siku 2 nikaona polisi wakikuja.
It was the best dad that one could dream of.
Mtu ya kwanza atawawa, mimi nitakuwa number 2 mimi.
It's like I had a premonition of sorts, yeah? And I kept on calling and I was not getting through.
Was it a case of a community striking fast before the enemy, or was it a politically instigated killing? Several people were arrested, among them the man who had shown the police officers the scene where the body of his boss had been discovered.
Wakaniambia, ulipata wapi huyu mwili wake? Nikawaambia niliona mahala pale. Na unajua mwenye kumuua? Nikamwambia siwezi kujua sababu siku kuweko, ilikuwa ni usiku. Basi wakaniambia tupande lori twende kwa polisi.
Joash told the police he had nothing to do with Belsoi's murder. The only mistake he made was to locate his body 3 days after he had been killed.
Anachukua miti, anatwanga kwa hii miguu huku chini, twanga kabisa. Kitwanga huko mimi naona giza. Nilitembezwa kila mahali, nikapelekwa hata siku wananifunika blanketi kwa Land Rover. Walikuwa wamenifunga miguu na nyororo. Kichwa kimeangalia chini na mimi niko uchi. Sasa wanajaribu kunifinya sehemu zangu za siri, kufanya nini, niseme tu nini iliua Belsoi. Mimi nikawaambia siwezi kujua isipokuwa tu mniue sababu mimi sikuwezi.
By the time police investigators were done with Joash and his co-accused, one of his fellow accused had died in prison. After 1 year behind bars, they were released for lack of evidence.
Aliona haoni wenye kuhusika kati yetu, hata akatuambia kama mnataka mshtaki wenye kuwalete hapa, lakini kwa sababu hatukukuwa na uwezo tukatupilia mbali hivyo na tukawacha.
Attention was now focused on Joseph Mwai Kung'u, a farmer at Belsoi's expansive estate. Kung'u was formally charged before Nakuru court for the murder of the slain businessman and civic leader. The prosecution called to the witness stand 18 witnesses, among them one of Belsoi's sons, James Belsoi. James Belsoi told the court that they were going about their business when a gang of people arrived on their farm with a pickup truck. The truck was being trailed by hundreds of men armed with machetes and sticks. The gang attacked them in waves. The first wave was of about 10 men armed with machetes and sticks sharpened on both ends. The gang was branded in white turbans. It was during the fourth attack when the mob took over the farm. The son told the court the gang overpowered them and overran the farm. The son told the trial judge Roslyn Nambuye that the gang went for the father as he fled the farm. James says nothing was stolen. The gang had come to kill and the father was their first target.
When the politicians of the Ford Asili, those are the people who were real opponents at the time. So they wanted to make sure there was no opposition here. Kano for that matter. I think they were depicted like we were Kano. In fact, before this happened, my father called me one time and said, look, my son, don't come to Molo in the near future. There are too many two-finger salute people around the neighborhood. Yeah? So obviously those were the problems.
James told the court he advised his father to run for his life. The last he saw of the father was him walking fast and going under a fence before disappearing into the night. All the time they were trying to repulse the mob, the father did not utter a word. He never saw him again until a week later, not on the farm, but in a mortuary. Farmhands Alice Musonik, Joseph Kiplangat and Jen Chipkorui, who turned out to be crucial witnesses, told the court they were at the scene of the murder. Alice Cherotich told the court she had recognized Kung on the farm the evening Edward Kipsoi was murdered. Alice told the court there was enough light from the moon and the burning house. Mwai was easy to identify. Joseph Kiplanga told the court he saw Mwai on the night Edward Belsoi was killed. He told the court he knew it was Mwai because he was Belsoi's neighbor. Mwai was also a frequent visitor to Belsoi's farm every time he came to purchase livestock. Several witnesses told the court it was Belsoi's farmhands who were telling the slain businessman that there were attackers in a forest near his home planning to attack members of the Kalenjin community, contrary to the widely spread word that the attackers were from the Kalenjin community planning to attack the Kikuyu. In fact, some of Belsoi's workers who took part in his killing had left the farm hours before the night attacks commenced. Was Belsoi killed by people he knew? One of the attackers, it will later emerge, was a son to a mother who had worked for Belsoi for many years. The mother had during the day asked for permission to go to hospital. Did the mother know of a plan to kill Belsoi?
Mama mwingine akakuja akaniambia, ukitembea wewe tembea mzuri, kwa sababu watu walikuwa wanazungumza kwa stage sasa mall ya kwamba wewe mzee ni mtu ya kwanza atawawa, mimi nitakuwa namba 2, mimi namba 3 ni mzee mwingine wa sehemu ile, tulikuwa watu 9.
In his defense, Joseph Mwai Kungu told the trial judge that indeed he had been to Belsoi's farm to buy livestock. Kungu denied taking part in Belsoi's murder. Kungu denied planning and executing the murder of the slain one-time country's Olympic chief, Demission. After several months on trial, Justice Roslyn Nambuye sentenced Joseph Mwai Kungu to hang for the murder of the slain businessman. The judge ruled that court assessors and the evidence of 2 crucial witnesses had placed Kungu at the scene of the murder. Joseph Kungu Mwai appealed against the sentence. The Court of Appeal judges, Justice Gishui, Riaga Amolo, and Akilano Akiume declared the trial of Joseph Mwai Kungu a mistrial. The judge, they ruled, had relied on the evidence of questionable characters. Joseph Kungu Mwai was set free, but not for long. He was arrested and once more was back in court. Kungu was tried afresh for the murder of Edward Kipsoi Belsoi. Kungu was set free. None of the witnesses was able to place him at the scene of the murder. Some of the witnesses disowned their statements. Some say they could not remember mentioning Joseph Kungu as the man who had them frog-marched on the night Belsoi was killed and his farm set on fire. Kungu walked to freedom. If Joseph Mwai Kungu, Pius Kinoru, Joash Jumba, among other suspects, were the wrong people, who are the people behind his murder? Belsoi's farm has witnessed 2 other major attacks arising from post-election violence incidents. His former farmhand who fled the farm 10 years ago told Casefiles the 2007 post-election violence was the worst.
Watu walikuja wengi kutoka Elbagon Molo wakikuja kuvamia Sirikwa. Shamba letu ni Mlenji. Mimi nilikuwa nimechimba choo nyumbani na sijaitengeneza. Nilikuwa na bibi yangu anashuka ndani na watoto na mimi tunachukua mabati tunaweka juu na nyasi juu. Ndio tunasikia tu huko nje watu wakikimbisana mbio. Ndio tukatengeneza njia ya kuweza kukata msituni kukuja pande hii. Ndio sababu bado.
The family still maintains the father was not a warlord. Their farm was never used to train militia. The sons insist they have been tried and convicted by the court of public opinion.
Since inception, we've never had any warriors there. We've not had any warriors around. I don't know where they get this warriors story from. Yeah, those are our enemies.
If there were any warriors in this farm, a lot of other people who had come to attack our farm would probably have been killed too. So it's only unfortunate that it was only my dad who was killed.
Molo has always remained the leading post-election violence hotspot every time the country gears up for a general election. It has been 23 years now since Edward Kipsoi Belsoi was murdered, and his killers are yet to be brought to book.
He was a good man. They killed a good man.
Was Edward Belsoi's farm used to train militia, just like other farms singled out by the Kilana Kiume Commission of Inquiry into the 1992 post-election violence, or was he a victim of circumstance?
When you are portrayed like we are murderers, I mean, we get very, very, very upset. We've never murdered anybody.
I mean, loss of life of a loved one is very painful to anyone. And so it was to me. It's even worse now to hear that there has been no justice for the perpetrators of that incident.
The clashes did not happen again in 2013, but many residents here are still yet to be convinced that the mistrust between the two communities living here is truly over. The key suspects in the murder of Edward Kipsoi Belsoy have since died. James Belsoy, the son who saw the father and maybe his attackers deny they killed him, has also died, closing any possible fresh investigations into the captain's murder mystery. Casefiles, the army captain, is a case closed. Denison Sarigo for Casefiles.